Right, hello folks, Jack here from peachguitars.com, and I'm making this video today as a little bit of an explanation and to answer a couple of the main questions that we've been getting on our videos recently. So, you've seen recently on the channel, we've just been hitting you hard with no talking, just tones. And the reason we've been doing this, as a few people have asked, is that when it comes to demoing a guitar, we kind of wanted to just extract the main portion of the point of the video, which is just to get the playing across and to try and show you how great these guitars can sound in their own context and also with a few different kind of staple tones. The reason we wanted to just have just the tones and no talking about the guitar itself is because that can often muddy the waters a little bit and make things a bit more complicated. So really just by getting straight to the heart of the tones was the main thing we wanted to put across. But we've had a number of people asking about the rig, the signal chain, and the kind of style of tones that we're going for to showcase these guitars to you. So in today's video, I'm just going to very briefly run through what it is that I regularly use and how I feel that that best exemplifies each individual guitar's strengths and sometimes weaknesses. Okay, so for the most part, a lot of the tones are quite similar. I often go for a cleaner tone, a nice sort of semi-distorted breakup tone, and then sometimes, depending on the guitar, a higher gain tone, either for some high gain riffs or for some lead tones. That kind of applies to pretty much any guitar that I demo here. Sometimes though, of course, if a guitar is geared towards a specific style, if it's more of a predominantly metal style guitar, for example, then the rig may change slightly. But what you're going to hear in this video me talk about is basically what I use 99% of the time. Okay, so start by talking about the pedals that I use, and generally it does not change from guitar to guitar. So most of the time, if you're hearing any form of overdrive, you're hearing this. The King Tone Dualist, it's by far my favorite overdrive pedal, and I use the term overdrive very specifically because I treat this like a low gain, kind of a boost almost. Most of the time you're hearing the heavy hand side of this pedal, which is kind of giving me a little bit of a classic Marshall style amp tone. So it works really well in conjunction with the amp, which I'll talk about in a second, to just add a little bit of gain without getting too much. You'll be able to see the settings, the exact settings overlaid on this video while I'm talking as well, so you can see kind of how I'm using it. But most of the time it's drive B. I find it's really dynamic. It responds well when I turn down the guitar volume as well to show you how a guitar cleans up that way. So that's just a really nice staple tone, and most of the time that's what you're hearing. Now the only time you wouldn't be hearing that particular side with this pedal is if I use drive A, the string singer side. I use that mainly just as a tiny bit of a boost. It sounds great with single coils a lot of the time, so Strats and Tellies. Sounds really great with that side. Not a lot of gain at all, but they work really well together. And I think that this pedal is kind of the sound of the Peach Guitars YouTube channel really. When it comes to demoing gear, these two circuits, either independently or stacked together, kind of gives me pretty much everything that I need to show you what a guitar can do in as wide a variety of different styles and contexts as I can think of. So that's really what you're hearing most of the time is the Dualist. Now, there are a couple of occasions and situations where the Dualist doesn't quite cut it, and at that point I'll turn to a slightly heavier distortion tone. And once again, I think it's important to stress that distinction between overdrive that the Dualist offers and distortion that these other pedals offer. So this is kind of a revolving door spot, but right now, if you're hearing any higher gain tones, any sort of more crisp, higher gain distortions, you're probably hearing either a Friedman small box, which is a great pedal. As the name implies, it's basically a Marshall in a box. Or you'll be hearing a Sir Riot Reloaded, very similar kind of a thing. So any guitars that lend themselves to higher gain riffs, kind of that kind of approach, or just really silky, saturated leads, it's usually either one of these two pedals, and sometimes stacked with the Dualist in front of it as well for a lead boost. But these things offer a very different tone. I think this is probably anyone who plays at home with distortion, like either a distorted amp or distortion pedals, I think these pedals kind of give a good representation for that kind of sound. If that's the way you play, you're going to hear the guitars that we demo in that context as well. Now, anytime you hear any sort of effects, be it delays, reverbs, sometimes a little bit of chorus or harmonic tremolo, it's all from the fantastic Line 6 HX effects. That's the only thing I ever use. You'll see that pedal on screen right now, and kind of a few of the little blocks that I've got in the chain as well. That's basically what I'm using. So it's basically just a bit of tape delay here and there, slapback sometimes, harmonic tremolo. I don't want to colour the tone of the guitar too much because I want the guitar to do all the talking. That's the whole point of these videos. So everything in this signal chain is very simple and it's very consistent from video to video, so that you can basically have an A-B comparison between guitar A and guitar B if that's what you want to do, and you know that the tones, other than the few variables that I've talked about within this video of maybe one pedal over another, the tones are exactly the same, the rig is exactly the same. That's the whole point. So of course the last thing in the chain, and the most important thing arguably that you're hearing alongside the guitar, is the amplifier, and 99% of the time you're hearing a Dr. Z Maz 18 with some onboard spring reverb. The reason it's usually the Maz is that I just feel that that amp does literally everything perfect justice. So any type of guitar, that's just a great bedrock platform for these pedals and those guitars to be able to express themselves perfectly. So the Maz has a lot of character of its own, but the way I use it is actually quite clean, quite simple, quite stripped back. Nothing is particularly hyped, nothing is particularly overdriven. Like I said, it's just a bit of reverb on the amp. Tend to bump the mids and cut the bass a little bit, and any pedal from this selection that I've talked about just works an absolute treat. And I know that when I step on a pedal, I know exactly what it's going to do with that amp, and that's kind of the most important thing. I want the guitar to really leap out at you as being the principal character in what you're hearing. Everything else is pretty standard and consistent from video to video, so you're really hearing the guitar in its truest form as I see it. However, do not fear, because talking will return in particular videos where we feel it necessary, but just not where we want the guitar to be 100% of the focus. Okay folks, so I hope that that's answered a few of your questions, all of which I really appreciate, by the way. I love reading the comments that you guys write, so please do keep them coming. And if you have any further questions that I haven't answered in this video, then please just do drop them on the videos. We do read them all, and we do our best to answer them as well. So I hope that this has answered your questions. If you want to find out any more information about any of the gear that I've talked about in this video, you can check the links down in the description box below. But for now, that's kind of a summary of what the No Talking Just Tones series has been about. So I hope that you continue to enjoy it. And if you want any more info on any of the products, peachguitars.com is the place to go. So thank you very much for watching, take care, and I'll see you again very soon. Bye-bye.